Welcome to the podcast. I'm here with my friend Paul McCoy, who's a Carthage native, and I've known his family. I went to school with his brother. I've known his family for my whole life, basically. And we're talking today a little bit about chiropractic and veterans and different ways that those affect lives and that kind of a thing. So the first thing that I was going to talk about with you was basically your military service background. So can you kind of let us know how you started and kind of what we were talking about a minute ago?
Actually, I started in the National Guard, 1987, right out of high school. Being in the National Guard, 2 days a week or 2 days a month and 2 weeks a year. That's our average. We also have a summer camp, we go to do the state, national emergencies. Did quite a bit of that kind of stuff. Been to Honduras, been all over the United States, been all over the South America a lot.
Okay.
And then also starting in 2003, because of our lovely attack on the United States, we decided to go to Iraq and Afghanistan. So I spent 14 months overseas in Kuwait and Iraq together.
Okay.
Just make sure you're getting closer because it's really hard to hear if you're far away.
Okay.
So I think you're okay with that story, but let's just, where your sit's perfect to hear.
So what was your role? What did you do?
I was a heavy equipment operator / supervisor. I did ran heavy equipment, anything, bulldozers, scrapers, graders, loaders, you name it, kind of run that kind of stuff. We built roads most of the time, infrastructure, put in some kind of sewage ditches, water runoff, a lot of things like that.
So would it, like, if you went to say when you went to Afghanistan or you went to Iraq or you went wherever, they would put you in to try and develop some of the infrastructure that was there that was a problem?
Yeah, exactly.
To get our troops moving, or?
Actually, not just to get our troops moving. We did humanitarian stuff when we first got into Iraq. We went in and started building some roads. There were some public roads in certain areas that were in very poor shape. We went in, we cleaned them up, scraped them down, packed them, put ditches in.
Okay.
Some of them didn't have any ditches at all. They just had, you had feces basically running in the roads.
Wow.
So we cleaned all that up. We put in ditches. We crowned the roads where the water would run off, all kinds of things like that. After doing a lot of that, we did also start doing a lot of troop development type projects. We go in and build parking lots.
Mm-hmm.
We built pads for buildings and then had another unit come in and actually start building the buildings.
Okay.
So we just started building up infrastructure to allow people to have a place to stay.
I wish people could watch that happen if they had one of those time lapse things. When your guys get dropped into an area and there's nothing, and you guys go in and start just doing all the work and all the dirt development, moving all that, and they start building that. All of a sudden, you've got like a city in the middle of nowhere that you guys had to build for all the troops that were coming in there.
Yeah. Actually, talking about that, a couple different times, we get moved to this location or that location, and we'd show up, and first thing is we have to make sure we get a place to stay, a place to eat, place to park our equipment, things like that. And we there might be a metal building there, might be a concrete building there that we work off from, and there might be nothing. We put up enough tents to house over 590 some odd people.
Wow.
The first location we landed in Baghdad. And then we ended up taking and covering it with camouflage, which was actually interesting. That was, I don't know, probably 2,000-3,000 bags of camouflage.
I was going to say that had to be crazy to watch that happen.
It was actually very interesting. Even with the infrastructure work that we did there, we did the same kind of stuff like down in Honduras, Panama. We went in after a lot of, where the hurricanes had come into Panama and wiped out the roads. And I know people seen videos and seen pictures of where the hurricanes or floods come through and wiped out whole villages.
Right.
We'd go in and actually rebuild the roads, maybe go in, put in some culverts, try and get the road where it wouldn't wash away. Because they have horrible roads down southern.
Yeah.
Especially back in the backcountry. And it was very common to go in and work on and try and build as much road as you can in 2 weeks.
That's wild. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of got that going now with the hurricanes that came through Florida and especially Western North Carolina. I've seen pictures and they just are wiped out.
Yeah.
And then because, we've got some issues going with FEMA right now. they've actually had local guys just come in, just what you're talking about, just start cutting roads back in and stuff, which I think is so cool. It's like patriots step up, which I think is awesome,
That's the true thing. So many people just come in and just show up with equipment and start using it and building what they need to build. And
It's wild when you think about going down to Honduras or somewhere like that, when we're so used to things being how they are and being done what we would say properly as far as, cutting roads, putting in sewers and all that kind of thing. And those people just don't know, and especially the back places, they've just never been exposed to that. So it's wild.
another amazing thing that you don't think about is, around here, you need rock, you go to the local quarry. They fill your truck up and you go take it over your front. You need dirt, you go to the guy, whoever's got dirt. You get to a country like that, even a foreign country, number one, you got to find rock. You got to mine or rock crushing equipment. If you don't have some, you got to find somebody that can do it. Or you
don't think about that.
Or you divert to a lot of other things. We did roads in Alaska. We actually were blasting the hill away ourselves. We had units there that did that. Then we would come in, dig that rock out, turn around and reuse it as rock. Because we didn't have it, we couldn't just ship rock into ourselves. So you have to learn to use a local landscape to get things done.
Fascinating. Yeah, you just got to adapt to whatever you have.
Exactly.
So as far as like what kind of specific physically demands did you find on not only yourself, but the guys that you worked with? Like, how did that take a toll on you at that point?
I don't know where to start. Well, the equipment that we're actually using and stuff, number one, people, if you're a heavy equipment operator, people are going to understand you're beat to death inside that piece of equipment.
Right.
They don't put, it doesn't ride like a Mercedes, I promise you. Most of them, their shocks or the giant tires that are on them, and they absorb some of the shock. Other than that, you're taking it in your back. You're taking it all over your body.
Right.
Climbing in and out of heavy equipment like that. I had more people actually got injured climbing in and out of equipment because you're pulling, you're twisting.
Yeah.
You're doing things like that.
They have a lift to lift you up to the cab or anything.
You're climbing up 2-3 feet in the hairs.
Yeah, I could see that. And you were in for how long that you were actually doing that service?
Well, I was actually in the National Guard for 27 years whenever I retired.
Okay.
A little backstory though is National Guard. I only did that 2 days a month, 2 weeks a year. Sometimes they decided to ship me off for a year. No big deal. But on the side, I always did construction. I've done climbing, twisting, bending, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. If you work construction, you understand what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
It's just hard on your body. Yeah. And you don't realize, until you get older and you can't climb and twist and bend anymore. Things don't work anymore.
Right. And I mean, that's when you're away from home, you're in Alaska, you're in Honduras or wherever, and you get injured. How do they handle those injuries there? What's their way of dealing with that?
Well, in the deployment, actually, when we was in Iraq, if you got injured, we actually had a hospital unit there. But we had like small hospital or basically like paramedics there that would be on your unit with you that you go they'd take care of the bumps, bruises, aches and pains. Mm-hmm. Then if you had anything major, they could step you up to the next type of thing. If you had anything major, or you was actually injured bad enough, they'd normally fly you out of country to Germany and go take care of that.
Okay.
But
I've heard the phrase from water to Motrin, how bad you feeling today? Is that kind of the way it goes?
Yes, water, Motrin, a little Tylenol, and you back to work. Cyclobenzapine, Flexerils, yes. And had to do that.
And we have kind of talked about that a little bit because both of us are on the same page as far as not, just jumping into whatever drugs are given to you. Those kind of things, a lot of guys come back with that as kind of a habit. And that's one of the things that we really look at. How is, like, for instance, with chiropractic care, how has that helped you stay lower on the drug usage if you've had to use it? Or just painkiller and stuff? Has it made a difference?
Oh, tremendously. I started out, my lower back, I've had multiple MRIs done. Going through the VA, one MRI will say you have moderate to severe this, and the next one will say that everything's fine. And then the next one after that depends on who's reading it.
Right.
And I've talked to some of the doctors and they told me that exact thing. It depends on who's reading it, how it was interpreted, and actually how the x-ray was done,
Right.
position wise, everything.
Right.
So,
And even how you were that day, because if you did something that flared it up a couple days before, it's going to look worse than it did if you'd been,
right.
doing something like doing an inversion table for 4 weeks in a row. I mean, those change just subtly enough. And it is open interpretation for sure.
It opens up that cartilage a lot more and everything else.
Yeah.
And I've noticed a huge difference. I've seen you for off and on probably 3-4 years.
Mhm.
2 years ago, the VA got me hooked up. Hey, you're going to see a chiropractor. So I went to a different chiropractor. Didn't get the relief like I normally did. I finally give up. Tried everything that the VA was trying to do. They started of course, you get the cyclobenzapine, you get the tramadols.
Right.
It never escalated anything higher, but I was living with a pain tolerance at that time because I had my pain levels between a 3 to a 7 every day. It would jump anytime I'd do anything that was strenuous or really flex that muscle and stuff.
Right.
Now my pain level, since I have really got in and started a regimen of trying to get myself straightened back out, has dropped to 2 to 3 at the most on a normal day. I was taking quite a bit of cyclobenzapine, which is a muscle relaxer.
Right.
I was taking quite a bit of that, and I've actually dropped off that tremendous. I'm 56 years old, and I still need it every once in a while.
Yep.
I twist, bend,
Sure.
fall down. You never know what you're going to.
Sure. Especially with all those dings and dents that you've gotten through the years, that they just add up. And that's why I usually tell, when someone's trying to figure out what did I do? And I will say, you probably didn't do one thing, but you accumulated through the years a lot of dings and dents that catch up.
And the thing that I think about more than anything is I'm trying to steer away from surgical, period. I don't want surgical work done on me. The longer I can go before somebody tries to cut me open, the better.
100%.
I've had the same issue with my knees. I've tried to steer away from it. And I've had one knee surgery and it went well. But, they're getting old. They're starting to creak a lot, but I'm still trying to stay away from that. Trying to take my vitamins, take my supplements, things like that.
Yeah. I have found too, when you're in a certain level of pain on a consistent level and it's just a chronic thing, that it mentally jacks with you, that it can make you to the point where when you're going to get up off the chair or couch to go do something, you have to really stop and think, do I want to do this? Is this, is it worth that?
Is it worth
How does that address with you as far as like getting that pain level down and being able to function better and not think about that? I'm sure it's made a difference.
Oh, 100%. Exactly like you said, I'm sitting in a chair and going, is it worth getting up? Is it worth moving? I stress over, can I do this or can I do that?
Yeah.
I've got a small farm and I need to do small things around the farm.
Yeah.
I dread trying to do it. And I have to work up the energy to get it done. Then I had to hope I have somebody that can help me because I can't do all the lifting and pulling like I used to.
Yeah.
And that has changed. I've actually been able to do a little bit more. I do have an underlying issue with my lungs, of course.
Right.
We have bad lungs.
Right.
But short of that, my standing up, my twisting, my bending has increased, I would say at least 70%.
Well, and this is a guy that wrestled at state, that played football, that was extremely active and didn't think about doing anything, just did anything you wanted to without even a second thought.
Yeah.
And now all those things are going to catch up. So the more we can keep those pain levels down and mentally being able to keep things, where, hey, I can do this, that I think the quality of life is what makes a huge difference for it. And that's one of the things that I love about what I do is watching people be able to improve that. And they say the healer gets healed by healing people. And I mean, that works for me because that's my passion every day is just watching people get better and, be able to do what they want to do. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
I've fought to get to where I'm at with my health issues. I got COVID. I had long-term COVID.
Okay.
But, I lost part of my lung issues. I lost the ability to actually go out and, go for a hike, go 4, 5, 6 miles like I used to. But my oath, or I guess my saying to myself all the time is, movement is life.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can't move, and when you hurt so bad that you can't move, it stops you from doing a lot of things. Well,
Yeah.
the other thing that stops you from doing is living.
Yeah.
So movement is life.
Good Lord.
Stand up, get yourself straightened out, try and get some help somewhere and get moving again. That's a huge thing. If you're not moving, you're not living.
Yeah, really, yeah. That's exactly right. And I mean, that motion even lubricates all the joints. I mean, it makes a huge difference on that. So what would you, because we have a lot of veterans that we deal with, as well as people that are watching the podcast and things. Somebody that's active today, what would 2024 Paul tell 1987 Paul, as far as what you need to do at this point to stay ahead of the game? Would you feel like you did anything different, or just get early care, keep moving, that kind of a thing?
Stretching. That's a huge one. I've learned to get up in the morning and stretch a little bit. My day goes a little bit better if I've stretched out a bit. I get a little bit of that juice flowing inside of those joints. I can go a little bit better.
Yeah.
But don't be scared to take and go and say, hey, I'm hurting. It's time to go get some help. And be proactive about your health.
Perfect. Yeah.
If you're not proactive, if you want, like I said, if you want to sit around and say, I can't do this, can't do that because I'm hurting. There you go. You just stopped your movement. What's movement? Movement's life.
Yeah.
So be proactive. Make sure you keep yourself. Is that not an inspiration? Part of the reason one thing I'd say is, if a person is a veteran and they're wanting to try and get some chiropractic care through the VA,
Mm-hmm.
first thing is you got to ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to give it to you. You've got to physically ask for it. You're going to have to jump through all their hoops.
Right.
They're going to require this and that, x-rays, and you're going to have to talk to your VA doc and everything else.
Yeah.
You have to be very proactive.
Yeah.
You have to make sure you're willing to make that phone call and say, hey, I need to get set up. Find you a good chiropractor that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Find one. If you don't feel like you're not getting anything from them, say something to them. Say, don't be afraid that, doctors aren't just perfect. So you need to say, hey, I don't feel good enough. This isn't working.
100%. That's what I always tell patients is, you live in there, something doesn't feel right, you tell me.
Make sure you tell them, don't be ashamed to tell them to me. This doesn't feel, and if you don't like it, just somebody different. And with the VA, if they say you got to go here, go there, there's always options.
Yeah.
Don't forget, you can voice your opinion with it.
Absolutely. And that is the truth. And that's, I say all along, I'm a firm believer that in my office, if you're supposed to be here, you'll find your way. And, and if it doesn't work for you here, find somewhere else, because I really 100% believe in chiropractic. And if my method isn't right for you, then find somewhere that is, because I think it's super important. And you've made the point so well, being proactive every day, no matter what your age, because we've both turned around and went, how the crap did I get to this age? So, and that's when you try and tell the 17, 18-year-old guys, like, trust me, it's going to go faster than you can possibly imagine. You didn't think about that until you got to there, but being proactive is the biggest thing. And that's what I've, appreciated just even talking to you, is just, being able to emphasize that point. I always tell people when they come in and they're hurting, if I told them to go cut the head off a chicken, pour it on the ground and dance around it, they're going to do it for a week. And then when they feel better, they're not going to do anything, because we usually get, lazy and get used to that. Okay. Let me re-ask that. So, okay. So let's talk a little bit about just a veteran in general that wants, that knows they want to go to see a chiropractor and that kind of a thing. There's physical and chemical and emotional components of where your health is today. And so as far as the mental and chemical part of that, let's just go with the mental part of that. What would you suggest as far as how a chiropractor needs to approach a veteran? Do you appreciate it more when someone kind of pushes you, or if they are going to let you be in control, but give you what they would suggest? How do you deal with that? What would you tell a chiropractor to do?
Well, the first thing, as a patient coming into a chiropractor through the VA, you've already endured. You've had to have everything done.
Yeah.
They're gonna try and make you do everything you can, every hoop to hop through, all the pain medicine, all this, that. And once you've made it through that, then you can go see the chiropractor. So before you can get there, you're already usually frustrated.
Right.
And there's no way I can fix that. That's a VA thing.
Here.
I don't think we'll ever fix it. It's
No, it's the medical practice as well.
exactly.
You know,
And so the anxiety that a lot of people come into situations like this of already, I've been hurting for 6 months. This ain't going to do a darn thing for me.
right?
So, they come in with a really just poor attitude. And the biggest thing that I think people need to understand, and maybe doctors need to even voice to some of them, is, hey, you're probably not going to walk out of here feeling great.
Right.
Or if you come in and you're in bad shape and you have chiropractic worked, and I guarantee that day, maybe that next morning, you're going to be stiff. You're going to be sore, but you need to follow up.
Here.
You don't need to stop there. Go and make sure that they express that.
Yeah.
You're going to be stiff. You're going to be sore.
Real.
You always make sure, hey, make sure you ice. And I'm like, I always do.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Maybe I don't, but,
All right.
but
There's the repair phase at the first. That it just takes some time.
Exactly. It's a repair phase. It's not about, this is a one and done thing. And this isn't a, are you going to be fixed overnight? But you've got to make sure you're willing to go in, get some work done, give it a couple of days, relax, come back. Let the doctor work with you. Doctors work with the patient. And I think you'll get so much relief out of it in the end, because it took me a good week I came in, I only did 2 days starting out. And in 2 days after that second day, I could start to feel it. And we're talking about a 5-day period. So then the next week I come back in again. Well, by the third visit, I was already starting to feel relief. But it's not as much pressure on me. My muscles are starting to go, oh, hey, maybe this is where this needs to be here. And doctors need to realize that, some guys are still like, no, I don't think this will work.
Yeah.
Encourage them to say, listen, you're going to hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
You've gone through all this.
Yeah.
Get here. Let's keep it going.
Be patient. Let it do its thing. Because your body wants to heal. It's on a 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week mission to heal itself, as much as we let it have that opportunity to do that. So that's really good advice, because I know with me, 95% of the people that come through here get better if they follow what I tell them to do. But it's that 5% that drive me crazy, because I was like, what am I missing here? But if doctors can stay patient with the whoever it is, whatever patient is, and kind of, help them get to that point. And then if they're not making a difference, be honest about it.
Right.
That's one of the things I always tell people, if I don't think I'm helping you, I'm going to send you where I think you need to go.
If you don't feel like you're getting what you need from the doctor, make sure you tell them. If that continues and you still don't have it, don't be afraid to go somewhere else or to speak up. Yeah. You have to be proactive in your own health.
Right. And a lot of people feel, when they're in the doctor-patient relationship, they can't say anything because they're in, he's the authority. I'm just going to do what they say. And like I said, I am always, if you don't feel like something's right, you tell me, because this is what we need to do, is be able to communicate to get you better. That's our goal. I'm not here to put you through, I need to see you 365 times over the next 2 weeks, whatever. That's not my deal. My deal is more, all the things that you're doing are right on with that. So, we're excited to be part of that. So I really appreciate you taking your time with us today and letting us kind of pick your brain a little bit, and appreciate your friendship. And
as your door says too, it says walk-ins and crawl-ins.
Crawl-ins are encouraged.
And one of them was crawled in there before things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't, get in and get it done when you can.
Perfect. All right. Thank Paul.